Bolt. All right.
Go ahead.
Wet crotch bullshit. Drenched.
Chuck is so excited about this movie that his pants are wet.
Smells like peach over here now. Peach and Fermunda cheese from my nuts. Brothers, sisters, gender resistors, welcome back to yet another. I just had my drink explode all over my crotch.
I literally was about ready to hit record as Chuck was opening up his bottle of water.
I wish you would have been.
I really should have. I should have because
I should have known better. It's room temperature. They always explode at room temperature. I don't know why. Anyway, it must be the chemical. I, of course, am the man that is currently just absolutely soaked. Absolutely soaked, as per usual when Joey's around. I'm Chuck. Big Hooch. I'm reinventing myself this summer. I'll be going only by Big Hooch, your main baddie hoochie daddy. That will be my full moniker this summer.
That sounds like a lot to say.
I mean,
Big Hooch, your main daddy hoochie. Wait,
daddy. Yeah, your main baddie hoochie daddy.
That's right. I didn't. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's that hard. I think a lot of people have said that. It's like it's a lot. But if you have to say it every time that you talk about me or address me in any way, I think it'll be fine. I'm Chuck, and we're here once again. Joe, Ron, just us. No us this week. You just got the terrible threesome. I don't know where I was going with that. I was gonna say
people still pay to watch it.
There's three of us.
So here's the thing. I know we're starting to get into the era of like movies that we've all have seen. Like these are movies that we went to go see in theaters, or at least started to. For the most part.
Speaking of seeing movies, and sorry to interrupt you, we missed a Marvel movie on our list.
Which one?
Generation X from like 1996. It was a made-for-TV movie. I think it came out on Fox in like 1996 or something like that.
That was a TV series.
Nope, it was a made-for-TV movie that was supposed to start off a series, much like the Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange and Wonder Woman and all that.
Yeah.
Huh. Let me look into that, and I will slot it into the list.
You're saying that like he's going to be able to find it. We're going to pay like $10 for this shit again, Ron. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, if we can find it somewhere, like YouTube or Daily Motion. You said Gen X? No, wait, Generation X?
Yeah.
Generation Extreme!
Like, I remember that show. Because it was a show.
But my generation, because we don't give up. And we won't.
Maybe,
Chuck, are you outroing us?
No, I'm singing
I'll find it.
Limp Bizkit.
If we can find it online somewhere that we don't have to pay for, which even that I don't think we can pay for because I don't think it's anywhere, we'll throw it in the list. If not, we're fine. It's not my list. I just found it. But regardless,
it is your list.
It's totally my list. It's my list now. We are currently watching.
Wait,
what was I talking about?
As we all know, humans don't search the internet, scour things, take a little bit of everything, and then compile it into a list and then call it their own. Only AI does that, right? So, there you go.
You were talking about how we were getting into movies that people have actually seen and watched and stuff.
Yeah, so I've never seen Superman Returns.
Me neither until this time.
So we're watching Superman Returns from 2006. Sounds like you both didn't go see this in theaters. Okay, I did. I definitely did.
Yeah, sorry, I was a struggling father of two, and I couldn't afford it.
2006,
Ron was a struggling father of two in 2006?
This one right here was born in 2005.
You still are a struggling father.
All right.
Like I was having, I just came out. My wife was pregnant at the time, but I still went and saw it because apparently I loved this.
I was a junior in high school.
We're old, you know that.
Yeah, but sometimes
Chuck, you're a baby.
Forget. Like sometimes because I just assume we're kind of the same age, and then I also remember I'm just a lot older than I actually remember that I am.
I'm 39. Joey's 40. I
I'm
mean,
40. I'll be 40 in June.
Oh, Tim 42. That's weird.
Yeah,
Or as well, I should say. He's not
holy
42.
shit, Tim's 42.
Actually, it's a really funny joke to specifically only the three of us right now. Yeah, I remember this coming out, and I remember everybody hating it, and that made me not want to go see it.
Yeah.
See, I watched the trailer for it, and I remember like there's that spot where he gets shot in the eye with the bullet, and when I saw that, I was like, oh man, this movie's just gonna be some kind of stupid like skeezy, effects like chop shop. So I didn't watch it.
So this, for me, like I've been following, obviously, comic movies since early 2000s, since I had a car, since I was old enough to go see the stuff by myself. Like back in the 2000s, the Wizard magazine was coming out. I was getting those constantly. This was talked about numerous times in there. And so like I was excited, especially when I heard Bryan Singer was going to be directing it, because like he left X-Men, he left doing the X-Men movies, left the third one to come over here to do Superman. He's always
not only did he leave it, but Cyclops also left it.
I was gonna say, didn't he cast Cyclops as fucking dork dude number 1?
Yeah, Cyclops absolutely cucked Superman. Like,
I'll say this: I love James Marsden. He's a wonderful actor. Obviously, both X-Men movies, he did a good job. Third one, we'll get to that in just a tiny bit. I think we're actually pretty close to seeing X-Men.
I feel like he did a good job of being the worst version of. He did a great job of being the worst version of Cyclops, directed by somebody who wanted him to be the worst version of Cyclops. And therefore, it makes sense why he acts the way he does in this movie. Because this should have actually been called Superman. Lois causes a ton of child endangerment, and nobody seems to question it.
Accurate.
Yeah.
That's all this is Lois being a horrible mother. Absolutely the worst mother.
I mean, it makes sense, though, because she's also a horrible girlfriend and a horrible,
She's not even a good journalist. She doesn't know how many Fs are in catastrophic.
That's a running joke for Lois in the comics as well.
Yeah, because she can't spell.
Yeah, that's just Lois Lane running joke. Like,
Wait, is that what it's called? Is Lois Lane running joke?
Sure, why not? But like in the comics, she usually has Clark that she'll like ask how you spell this, how you spell that, and Clark's always like telling her how to do that. I don't know. It's just what it is.
That's a good joke, Chef. Wow. Okay, that's yeah. I can tell you the joke doesn't land because I didn't know it was a joke. I was just like, she's kind of dumb.
So in the first,
won a Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah. So in the first two, like in Superman and Superman 2, she's constantly saying things like, yeah, how do you, or somebody like, one of them, Perry's like, yeah, you misspelled this, this, and this, or Clark's like, hey, you didn't spell this right. So I got the joke when she said it, but
also those movies are in the set. I mean, I guess you could say set in the 70s and 80s respectively. And the world that it is makes sense for that. Like, I'm not saying that she needs to have spell check all the time, but that's what editors are for. Editors are there to check your spelling and make sure everything's right. Now we live in a world where it's a computer. It's 2005, even though it's 5 years later. I don't know. So, like, spelling, especially at that time when you are typing it up on your computer, spell check is constantly running. So it shouldn't have had to have spell checked unless she was like handwriting it.
She was handwriting it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So now this is 5 years later.
But
the kid's like 8 years old.
I know that too. Maybe he's like 6, allegedly. But yeah, supposedly this movie wipes away Superman 3 and 4. This is allegedly a sequel to Superman 2. And it's supposed to be 5 years after Superman 2. That canon doesn't really work. Like, I guess it's supposed to be like a soft,
like a retcon?
A soft retcon, reboot, sequel of sorts. Like what we would call a requel nowadays. But
what if they didn't do that? What if they didn't try to do that and they just made a better movie?
So it's funny you say that. I actually have a couple things here from IMDb. There were two. I mean, the singer went through a few different scripts before he settled on this one in particular. Here's one from J.J. Abrams back in 2004 or 5, whenever they were nailing down a script. This script, as too far a departure from the source material from J.J. Abrams. Abrams' story reimagined Superman as a Kryptonian prince sent to Earth as a baby to avoid an impending civil war between King Jor-El and his brother Karta Zor. Raised as Midwestern teen Clark Kent and in love with his high school sweetheart Lois, Superman becomes humanity's defender when Karta Zor invades Earth, aided by CIA agent Lex Luthor, who is actually a Kryptonian in disguise. The film ended with Superman returning to Krypton to rule over his people after the death of Jor-El. Yeah,
that's fucking weird.
That's the first one. Let me find the second one, but keep talking.
I would have actually liked that. Like, I think that would have been interesting and different. And then they could have like soft launched like the multiverse concept. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that would actually be pretty decent.
And they could have all the Supermans fight each other. Has that ever happened? Have they ever had all the Supermans fight each other?
In the comics, yeah, this happened a couple different times.
Lame. Because I thought I knew a original concept.
Oh, gotcha.
I
didn't.
Have they ever? Because I think if not, I'm gonna have AI write it for me. Have they ever had a situation where Superman has outlived like everybody and it's far into the future, and now the sun is about to explode and like essentially do to Earth what Krypton, like what happened to Krypton, and he has to deal with that? Has that become a storyline?
That's kind of sort of Red Sun.
God, they need to
Prime. Superman Prime. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, Red Sun is when he landed in Russia. They need to kill this character off. They've done all the good ideas. Well, not really.
Well, they did.
They need to get like 100%. Eradicate him from books.
Where is it? There.
Anyway, I would have loved that first one. But that would have infuriated the nerds. So.
Here's the second one. This is more infuriating.
Okay.
So all previous scripts revolved in one way or another around the death and subsequent return of Superman. Jonathan Lemkin, some writer, wrote a draft in which Superman impregnates Lois before he dies. She gives birth soon thereafter, also dying in the process, and a fully grown new Superman emerges to save the world.
Yeah, so it's like a son of Superman.
Well, I don't know if it's the way I took it. Emerges from Lois, like a fully grown Superman emerges from Lois. That's the way I took it. I know that's probably not
kind of how it sounds. Yeah,
but that's awesome. Great, make it fucking weird. Like, why not? Like, have a full-grown man bust out of a woman's womb. Why not? With the ultimate depiction of how women are written for movies as it is in comic books. They're only there to help the male protagonist by birthing them and them dying in the process.
Fully
so he could be a fully formed man.
Yeah, no, that was terrible. That's
the patriarchy.
So the funny thing is, so I know you said you liked Abrams' idea. He is, in theory, still working on a Superman movie, which would be part of the multiverse because it's supposed to be what is it? Who is it? It's Val Zod Superman, which is the black Superman from Earth like 60 something. He's on that Earth, he's actually like president of the United States. And like that Val Zod is a pretty amazing Superman. And that's allegedly that Superman movie is still in the works from Abrams. I don't
And
know.
they all, that was the thing that all the like horrible fans got like real mad about, that they wanted to make like a black Superman for a minute.
Correct. Yep, that was a couple years back. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because people don't actually understand what comics are. They just are seeing that this is a white. Oh, speaking of.
Well, as we all know, comic books were never meant to be political satire. So
yeah, I mean, like, why would X-Men?
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of flack about the X-Men '97 now because it's all woke and stuff, and it's like,
yeah, because
it's X-Men. That's how they've like been since 1960 when they came out.
Yeah.
There's still only like 2 actual like minority races on the team as it is. So like,
but speaking of Black Superman, apparently Will Smith was approached to play Superman.
Yikes!
But he turned it down because I had already done Jim West of Wild Wild West in 1999, and you can't be messing up white people's heroes in Hollywood.
Oh man, I love him.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
That's great.
Wild Wild West is a dumb movie. I still like it. Like,
because you get to see Selma Hayek's ass.
That too.
It's not good, but I unapologetically love that movie.
It's one of those movies where I saw it. I mean, 99. I probably saw it in 2000, so I was like 16, 17.
It's Weird West, something I absolutely love. It's Will Smith being full Will Smith. It's dick jokes. Like it's everything. It's everything that I love.
Great movie. It's terrible, but it's a great movie.
It's a little bit of like espionage, like it's good stuff.
So,
but Superman Returns. So
okay, Superman returning. Let's talk about that. Why can't Clark fucking pilot a spacecraft? What the fuck is wrong with this dude? Crash lands as a baby. Crash lands as an adult. This dude needs like to get his fucking license revoked or something.
Baby makes
sense. It almost
seems
like him crash landing as a baby was like smoother. Like why did it get worse?
So, I'm pretty certain, and Ron, remind me, when he crash landed as a baby, did the ship like melt away and become more of like an oval shape?
So I think it was only an oval shape.
Well, no, when it left, it was like the crystal thing, the crystal form.
Yeah, but I think that all like burnt off of it, didn't it?
Correct. So why did it, when this ship now came in, it is all crystal form looking? Like, that was wrong. That was bad. Didn't like that.
Hey, at least they kept the intro music though.
Yes, that's one thing Singer said, that if he didn't have access to John Williams' score, he wasn't going to do the movie.
I'm glad though, because that right there made the movie better right off the bat.
I kept thinking it was a different theme song and never realized how much Superman sounds like Indiana Jones and Star Wars and all those like classical sounding.
That's John
themes.
Williams.
Yeah, just the dude's got a style. You know what I mean?
When I was watching it, Emily overheard that she thought I was watching a Star Trek, one of the Star Trek movies, or
like,
I can see that because it definitely has some of those overtures.
Well, all right.
Also, speaking of the credits, CGI did not do those planets any justice.
No,
that looked terrible when they were flying through outer space, and did not like that too much.
Yeah, but the rest of the special effects actually weren't as bad as I was expecting them to be.
A lot of the times when they would get too close to him when he was CGI'd looked like shit.
Yes. Yeah. Like other than that, a lot of it would look good. I really did.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, like the saving the plane, not nearly as bad as I was expecting it to look. When he jumps in front of the Gatling gun, I was expecting that to look terrible.
I love that scene, but then it's followed up by the scene when you get shot in the eye, which is kind of dumb. But I love
not to mention, like, who the fuck doesn't know who Superman is?
Right?
Who the fuck doesn't?
He's also been gone for 5 years.
Sure, but when you see the bullets bounce off of him the first time, dude, I'm sorry. If I start shooting at the dude and I see the bullets bouncing off of him and I realize it's Superman, like, I'm out. It's like, sorry, dude. I
don't know why because he so confidently pulled out a handgun after he just ripped a fucking 50 cal Gatling gun.
Yeah,
and they bounced off of. By the way, real quick, I understand that he's impervious to bullets. Why does his suit absolutely not
He
even
has a
become
force field
effective?
around his body.
He's got like some tactical like force field that like keeps him safe. The reason that you'll see it ever torn up is because he's used up so much energy that it's now just keeping to him and not around him. So that's why
Did they explain that and I missed it?
In the comics,
they explained it in one of the comics, I think.
But I didn't read the comics. Like this.
Well, that's
this,
on
this
you,
is the
Chuck.
shit I'm talking. No. If I have to do, I have been screamed at.
All right, here, fine, Chuck. This is how it works. His suit is actually a Kryptonian material that underneath the yellow sun is impervious. Whenever his suit gets scratched, it's because it's at nighttime when there's no moon, or he's inside of a building where there's no natural light.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that.
That's not how it works.
I just wish they would like explain that, and they just don't. They're just like I just don't understand why his yeah. Or explain to me that he just like produces a fucking force field. I don't care. I just didn't know. It just felt like it was like bad. Like they just didn't want to deal with how many suits they were.
That's also why his hair never moves.
Well, except for when he's in the water, because when he's underwater and like when he was, actually at that point he was being poisoned by kryptonite on the island. So
yeah,
actually you're right. I don't know.
So I mean, okay,
it's 2006. You know what I mean?
Speaking of when he's on the island under the water, poisoned by kryptonite, why are the kryptonite crystals still growing out of that rock? Like everything else has stopped growing.
Because there's still water on top of the island. So like the
water
through.
But what I'm saying is though, it's like it wasn't growing when it was in the water itself.
No, it was.
Like when he went to pick it up, it had stopped growing.
Okay, so no, what he had done, he had burrowed underneath. That's why he was using his heat vision to melt the ground. He had gone underneath, and so he was carrying
earth up around it. Yeah.
And so when it grew out, because it is also raining, it's got water on the island, it's seeping into all the cracks, still growing because it's touching the crystal and yada yada yada. That's why you saw all that stuff breaking off. Because the island was still growing, breaking off the earth, which is then causing him to hurt. That's why after he had gotten so far up into the atmosphere, he was having trouble.
Also, if he had that much kryptonite poisoning when he left the Earth's atmosphere, wouldn't he have just died?
See, that's the thing. He had left Earth's atmosphere where the sun is hitting him, which should have healed him. But allegedly, he still had a chunk in him, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
They pulled it out. But even that, like, he should still have been healed. Because even once Lois pulls out that giant piece, and all he does is fly up into the sky, gets the more sun into him, and then dives down. Like, going out into space where there's literally no, atmosphere or no... whatever he's just literally getting the sun's rays. Everything is like perfect for him. He should have been healed enough to where he could have woke up. Also, when he crashes down, pretty sure that would have destroyed that park that he crashed into.
Oh, 100%. Like there was a crater there where he landed, wasn't there?
There was, but it's not big enough for somebody who, even if he was in low orbit, that's not big enough for somebody who re-entered from low orbit. At least I don't think so. It could have been. I'm not a scientist. I just play one on podcasts.
That's fair. Speaking of scientists, when did Kumar become a alien geological expert?
Very young Kumar.
So about that, allegedly, there was a story plot that was cut, which should have, I think, been kept in. Kal Penn, obviously Kumar, revealed he originally had a much greater role. It would have been revealed that his character was a disgraced former Daily Planet science reporter who was bribed by Lex Luthor to plant false evidence of Krypton's possible survival, thus inspiring Superman to leave Earth and explore Krypton's ruins. I feel like they should have kept that in.
100%, absolutely.
Because just that little blurb in the very beginning, scientists found that Krypton's remains and Superman left. Like, now we know why. This was his character doing this.
It was all set up, and that would have been nice to know. Yeah,
exactly. Because they do explain it later on. Oh, Lex got out because Superman wasn't around for the court, so he, instead of serving two life sentences, he got out in 5 years. Which, fun enough. Well, go ahead, Chuck. I was just
going to say, for a movie that felt like it was going on for an eternity and wouldn't end, I feel like that is maybe like a 5-minute scene that they could have put in and then cut out like 20 minutes of just a bunch of bullshit.
Like when they could have cut out the part where Superman stalks Lois back to her house.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could have cut out any part of him just like standing for any period of time.
When I went to go hit play on this, I saw it was 2.5 hours, and I'm like, Jesus, I didn't remember it being this long.
I almost didn't finish it in time because I had because I didn't really want to watch this, so I like kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and then I got back from, because at time of recording it's Easter, I got back from doing like Easter stuff with my niece and nephew, and I was just like, okay, I gotta watch this thing. And it's like 2.5 hours. I'm just like, oh shit, I might not actually finish this in time.
But you did. I was just gonna change the subject to a couple of cameos that we got.
Yeah.
First one is Jack Larson. He played Jimmy Olsen in The Adventures of Superman from 1952. He was the bartender that Clark and Jimmy are talking to.
Okay.
Speaking of Jimmy, is that Mimi Siku from Jungle to Jungle?
Maybe.
He was also the kid in Not Another Teen Movie that wanted to shit on that girl's chest.
Yes,
he is. He's also in the U.S. adaptation of Being Human.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He plays the werewolf. Yeah. I love that show. That show is phenomenal. That's so good.
Sam Witwer? Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, good. Noelle Neal as Gertrude Vanderwerth at the very beginning. She played Lois Lane in the Superman from 1948. So we saw her in the I think in Superman vs. the Mole Man. I could be wrong on that one.
Is that the old lady who dies that Lex?
At the very beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, can we talk about how much of a creep Kevin Spacey looks like all the time?
Well, I mean,
I know he is,
better,
but like,
honestly, I thought his portrayal of Lex wasn't terrible. I know.
Because that's just him in real life.
I think so. I do remember reading in the Wizard magazine way back when that he did not come at this jokingly like Gene Hackman. Like, he didn't want a jokey Lex. He was a little more serious, but he had some of those joking undertones. Like the scene when they are testing the crystal in the train set and it goes dark, and like you see him back up like immediately, and then when the lights come on, he's like all the way back to the wall. Like, I thought that was kind of fun. I got a kick out of that.
So I don't fuck Kevin Spacey, but
totally fuck him.
Yeah, fuck Kevin Spacey, but I don't like this version of Lex either, because I'm used to the animated version of Lex, who is like a super serious, really smart, conniving, like bad person who pretends like he's doing good for the betterment of man, right? And ultimately he was, which I always feel like he was never really money oriented, just power oriented, which is like a really big like distinguishing factor.
So this one, similar to Gene Hackman, still all about land, apparently. Having the land that he can name for himself is all he wants for whatever reason.
Right, like starting your own nation. I get that to an extent. Like, I understand like the push of, I need land to make money, comes off as desperation, which does not come off as like a powerful character.
Yeah.
You're correct.
If he was like, I'm going to start my own nation and then make everybody bow down to me, that's the Lex Luger. Jesus. That's the Lex Luthor that I'm like. I also, for the longest time, confused Lex Luger and Lex Luthor in my brain a lot.
That's fair. That's fair.
Shout out to the Total Package. But there's like two things that were a super strong takeaway from this movie of why I struggled with it. And one is I don't like desperate Lex. I also, and this actually kind of comes back to pro wrestling again, I inherently don't like stories when the heel cannot be physical realistically with the face. When the feud is based around a heel who can't wrestle because he's maybe like a manager and he's actually injured, or he just doesn't really know how to work, like an actual wrestling match. The baby face overcoming that doesn't mean as much because he doesn't have to fight him. He has to fight whatever insert monster that they have that he is built to actually fight for him, right? Lex doesn't have that in this movie. Lex has these goons that suck and can't do anything other than play piano. And we didn't get that adversary who's equal to Superman for them to be able to fight to finish the story, and Lex then being beaten in that way. What we get is Lex kind of just sucking and not really being he gets one up on Superman because he can stab him, but Superman inherently can't really do anything against Lex because it's not believable, and we don't get Lex suit. You know what I mean? We don't get Kryptonian battle.
When we were watching it, Simon thought that was going to happen. He's like, "Oh, is this one where Lex gets the suit and fights Superman?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've never seen it."
That would have been cool. That probably would have done it for him. You know what I mean? Giving me the suit finally. That we
problem is,
do we ever see the suit?
We will get that in one of the animated movies. So we're still a little. We're not that far off from it, if I'm being honest.
Another thing though, when Lex goes to the Fortress of Solitude and gets the crystals and learns all the knowledge of the crystals, that took Clark years to learn everything, and that's at Kryptonian mind super speed of him being able to retain and learn knowledge. Lex learned it in hours.
Yeah. Also, he made it out like he was here before. This is not the first time he's been here. But yet, also, when he's playing with the crystals, he doesn't acknowledge, he's questioning that Jor-El thinks he's Kal-El.
Yeah.
You kind of know that, though.
Well, I mean, he has been to the Fortress of Solitude before.
Yeah, you saw that in the second movie.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. He's also, and theoretically, we saw it in the second movie, but also I'm pretty certain, if I remember correctly, Superman either blew up the fortress and left Lex there to die, even though we see him in the fourth movie, or he left Lex there with no way home, even though we saw him in the fourth movie. So I don't remember. I remember him leaving Lex there to take Lois off.
Yeah. To take Lois what?
You heard me.
Apparently just to take Lois, according to the kid. Oh.
That too.
Yeah, so that's
speaking
Superman's
of Lois,
son. He's like a half Kryptonian. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
When Superman goes and attempts to cuck Cyclops on the rooftop to give her interview, and she takes her shoes off and just raw dogs the fucking roof of that building, so fucking gross.
Okay.
She has her bare ass feet on the nasty ass roof of the fucking planet that is covered in bird shit and toxic waste and accumulated planet goo.
You want to know how much, when the island first powers up and you get that shockwave going through Metropolis, that's not breaking window. I mean, it's breaking the windows off every building, but it's also shaking all of the dust and all of the grime off of every single building. So yeah,
yep.
I believe that. Also, there are.
Want to know how I know Ron is a foot guy, but he only likes clean feet?
Well, first off, I'm not a foot guy. Second off, I actually was thinking about my own feet touching it, and it grossed me out. So,
that's fair.
Okay. So I was going to point out that Lois died twice in this movie. First time was on that plane. She got her back broken, like the initial burst, and then she's getting thrown around constantly as the plane is flying everywhere. And
so she's got some residual. She got some residual Kryptonian in her, if you know what I mean.
Must have.
I am. If that wasn't actually ever worked in, that like she kind of gets Superman's powers because she just like carried his child.
That's all she carried of his.
Well, yeah, but like, honestly, like we don't know what like sexually transmitted disease he could actually realistically give someone. I kind of like that as an idea. I don't know why. I just like the idea that he would like do that. I don't know.
Also, what was the second time she almost died?
Well, I was gonna real quick. I was just gonna default to Mallrats, where Jason Lee said
it'd be like a shotgun out the back of her.
Yeah, exactly. The second time she died was when she was climbing out of the boat as it's sinking, and the giant metal door slams on her head.
Slams. Yeah, that would have broke her neck or her skull at least.
Also, pretty sure everybody in the plane was dead when Superman like stops it, and that shockwave like ripples through the plane.
Yeah. Also, like I love the fact that the wing actually fell off.
Yes.
But when he grabbed it by the nose, it would have also just crumpled like instantly when he started pushing against it.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean,
that's one of those things where I'll give the boys some credibility here. When Homelander, when Maeve is trying to convince him to stop the plane, and he's like, "I've got nothing to push against. Like, there's no stopping this plane." And Invincible, they talk about how Nolan basically tells Mark that we move in 4 dimensions or 6 dimensions or whatever. Like, we can step on air. Like, we're not really flying; we're stepping on the air. So, like, that's how they can stop a moving object in.
Is that sky. When he they fuck that subway train and they just were like ripping through a bunch of people?
Well, there's that. It was really like episode 1 or 2 when he was explaining the powers to him.
I just really love that scene. There's something really gratifying about watching a son get the shit beat out of him by his dad. But anyway,
that's because Chuck never got to experience that as a child. Oh,
absolutely 100%. Yep. No, you are absolutely correct. That is exactly what I meant. I never knew the touch of my father because he would never
beat you or be around.
Beat me. Yeah, he wasn't around to beat me, so. Makes me sad. Makes me sad, Ron.
Yep.
Ron, I wish I had a dad.
So okay. Moving on.
Anyway.
God damn it, Chuck. Hey, don't worry, Joey and I wish we still had dads too, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Just enjoy your memories.
When Superman when Clark turns into Superman in the elevator, he starts fucking like shredding clothes before the doors are even fucking shut.
Yeah, there
are like so many people in a fucking newspaper, reporters, people that pay attention to details of things so they can report on them, and he just does that right in front of them.
Yeah, but you're also talking about a newsroom that doesn't
Metropolis, which is supposed to be what, California, right?
No, New York-ish.
Is it? Oh, even more so. If it's New York, then like literally nobody gives a shit. Nobody's paying attention to anything that's going on around them. You can literally do the most. He could have screamed racial obscenities and nobody would have cared.
Actually, they would have applauded him, as we saw with Homelander on The Boys.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, Kitty driving that car with the brakes that were cut.
She was the worst.
I hate Parker Posey's face.
Oh, see, I like Parker Posey.
Is that her name?
Yeah, that's her real name.
That's her real name? That's not her real name.
Well, it might be her acting name. I don't stage name. I don't know. But that's just
whatever. I don't know. There's something about her and the way that like she talks and like I don't know. She's one of those people that
I agree.
I want to punch in the face
or something. Yeah.
One of the first movies. I mean, I guess I saw this, but one of the first movies I saw her in was Scream 3. And I don't know, I enjoyed her performance in Scream 3.
She was also in Blade 3, and I hated it.
I'll give you that one. We're getting up to that one. We're getting close.
And I'm pretty sure that was the first movie I'd ever actually paid attention seeing her in. And I think that's when I actually started hating her face. And then when I started seeing her in other things, I'm like, oh.
I didn't like her in this movie, but I also don't know what the point of her to Lex is.
She's supposed to be the new Miss Tessmacher.
Just basically the sexy bimbo to the side. That's really all she was.
But I feel like he would not have that. Like, if it's the Lex I like, that's not the Lex he had. Like, that's the
sidekick that he has, or the sexy,
sidekick.
The sexy whatever.
The sidekick he would have would not be the sexy bimbo. It would be the sexy who's also a fucking mercenary.
Yeah, mercenary.
Like we saw in was it Doomsday, the animated one we watched?
Yeah.
Where she was like out doing shit, and then when she became no longer useful to him, she capped him, or he capped her.
Yeah.
He like just took her out. Why did he not take her out at any point? She was so annoying.
And ruined his plans, literally.
Yeah.
So I got nothing there. But what I'm saying though is that scene with the car, like she's slamming on the brakes and the car is speeding up.
Yeah, the car never stopped speeding up. Yeah, like even when she was running into things and like going downstairs,
stuff, and like the momentum is still going faster.
Yeah.
So, which, funny enough, let's see if I can find that little article. Apparently, there was a break-in on set. Here we go. A break-in on the set in which the crew's walkie-talkies were stolen, forced filming to be halted. Pranksters caused chaos during a stunt sequence being filmed in Martin Place by shouting "cut" and "action" over the airwaves. The thieves with the walkie-talkies listened in to much of the night's filming to learn key phrases, which they later yelled at key moments. The mischief almost caused serious injury, with the night's filming centering on a Mustang car jumping downstairs and landing between extras. It stopped several times.
Damn.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not great is what that is.
It sounded like a bunch of kids just being assholes.
Sounds just a bunch of kids being kids. I mean, realistically.
Yeah, but kids are assholes.
I mean, that's true. Yeah, that's what I said. Kids being kids.
So there was that scene.
We're saying the same thing, Ron.
There was a scene where Superman catches the Daily Planet and flies down and then
drops on somebody's car.
He like gingerly places it on top of a Volvo of all cars. And specifically,
there's your product placement.
Well, there's lots of product placement.
Yeah.
According to IMDb, after Superman catches the Daily Planet globe, he gently lowers it onto a Volvo car, which promptly collapses under the weight. This is a stab at the company, which in October of 1990 aired a commercial featuring a Volvo withstanding the weight of an oversized monster truck, rolling over it while rival vehicles are crushed. The Federal Trade Commission fined the company $150,000 penalty for the false advertising.
Why? Yeah. Why did they want to take? What did I mean? Like, sure, but who specifically was hurt Volvo in this to like make that a thing?
Oh, somebody that probably owned a Volvo or knew
it was like super pissed because they took it to a monster truck rally, figuring it wouldn't be injured.
Maybe.
So I got this great idea of scene. Fuck Volvo, okay? What the fuck?
What else was there? We got that. Last little bit of IMDb trivia here. A sequel was planned with Bizarro and Brainiac as possible villains. However, due to frequent delays, as well as the first film's massive budget and underwhelming box office return, it was canceled. Yeah, this movie didn't do good in theaters, which is a little disappointing.
Not surprising.
I mean, but it makes sense because of the hype that it got from its like trailers and from what everybody had heard about it and stuff. It makes sense.
One last little bit here. When Bryan Singer became interested in possibly hiring Brandon Routh, he arranged for them to meet in a coffee shop. When they met at their table, Routh stumbled and spilled hot coffee all over the table. Although he panicked, thinking he had just lost the part, Singer laughed and said it actually helped him get the part. The incident convinced Singer that he could pull off the clumsy, bumbling Clark Kent, which I thought he did a wonderful job.
Other than the fact that I hated his hair because that wig was terrible.
It was a bad wig.
It's very stiff.
But he did a great job as the character. I was actually pretty impressed with how well he did.
Both Clark and Superman.
Yeah.
He has that Christopher Reeve look, which is nice.
Yeah, being 6'4" and 220 pounds and
however much it was.
Hey, how tall is Clark? Oh, I don't know, like 6'3", 6'4". How much do you suppose he weighs?
I will say this is he does a really, really. I've never actually seen the other ones. The first four, never seen them. Don't care. I don't know what it is. I just don't want to go back and try to rewatch them. But I think he does do a really good Clark Kent, and he does a pretty decent for what the tone is that they were trying to set here. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah.
I think that Henry
Cavill.
Thank you. Plays a little bit better of a Superman, but also I think it's a different vibe.
It is 100% a different vibe.
It's a little bit grimdarkier or something, a little bit more serious. This I does feel like I'm watching kind of the more campy Superman era of stuff.
Correct.
Which I didn't hate.
It's also one of those things where the fans fans still love this movie. Like I said, I remember this movie being good. And my score, I think, will hopefully portray that. But people were very saddened when Brandon Routh kind of got, I don't want to say screwed out of playing the character again.
Yeah.
He never got a sequel. But he finally got redemption years later in the Arrowverse when they did the Crisis, and he shows up. I mean, he's Adam Ray Palmer in the Arrow and Flash stuff and Legends of Tomorrow, but during the Crisis on Infinite Earth that took place in 20, I don't remember, 17.
It was 18. A mini series, right? It was a week-long mini series.
It was 5 episodes going through each show. And he gets to play Superman again. He gets to play Kingdom Come Superman. So I thought that was really awesome, really cool that he got that redemption of sorts. So
yeah. My takeaway was this was not nearly as bad as I thought it was, but I still find Superman an inherently boring character.
That's fair.
And like most, both in professional wrestling and comic books, it's the villain that makes the heroes and the story matter. And I don't think that this is a good Lex.
I'll give you I remember that being better, but I also haven't seen this in forever. So rewatching it now, I'm like, this Lex is not. He's serious with some comedic undertones, but not a ton. But at the same time, I'm also currently rewatching Smallville, where Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor is just I don't want to say perfect, but
I really did like him as Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
I mean,
really good.
We got more from him.
Well, and he had such a fucking character building story arc.
Exactly.
Because there's a whole time where you're like, man, if Clark were to ever just tell him that he's Superman before he finds out, they would have been best friends and he would have never been a villain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Smallville's great.
I really Smallville. I liked it. I fell off when they graduated high school or whatever, but
I didn't watch seasons 8, 9, or 10, or 7, 8, or 9, whichever one they went up to.
Whenever they finally brought Lois in, when I tapped out.
Season 4 was when they brought Lois. And I love Erica Durance. I think.
Oh, I'd love to love on Erica Durance. Anyway.
But I watched the whole series, but the first 4 to 5 seasons are probably what stick more in my head. Like
Yeah.
after that, I watched it, but I kind of like really more watched it because I had already
Because you'd
watched
already
the
been
first.
invested in it that
Yeah,
far.
exactly. So the same thing happened to me with Supernatural. Like I watched up to season 5.
Dude, first
and
5
after
seasons
season
were
5
great. It should have ended there. They should have never went past it. But
and that was CW because Eric Kripke was like, "Yeah, I told my story. I'm done. Like, show's over."
Yeah,
And
I fell
CW is
off.
like, "Oh, we're going to keep going for 10 more years."
see, I tried watching it after that. It took me a whole nother year to watch season 6. And then I watched part of season 7. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I have no interest in this anymore.
I stopped at I think 6, went back and rewatched 6 and 7. I stopped officially at like 9 or 10, and I'm like, I can't anymore. I'm done.
I watched up to, I think it was season 8. Whenever they brought the Leviathans in, was kind of like I lost my interest.
I think that was 6.
Was that 6?
No, I
Maybe.
think it's past that, isn't it?
Maybe 7.
It might have been 7 because I don't remember watching all
Yeah.
of the Leviathans. I just remember them being part of it. And then
Yeah,
like
I didn't care for that.
because isn't there like
But
some
I
part
also-
where Cass ends up being God or something? And
I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I actually realistically stopped caring about it after season 1 because the thing I liked about it was like, oh, they're they hunt monsters, but then they kind of just like within the first season were just like, oh yeah, the son of the devil, we're gonna go kill Lucifer, and then I was just like, well, what are they gonna do? I thought they finished the story, and then they were like, oh, we're gonna go back to monster hunting, and I was like,
that's
cool.
the first 5 seasons are great. Like if they had just stuck to the original plan of what the first 5 seasons was going to be, like Dean would have been happy. Moving on, Sam would have been dead in hell. But like, whatever. That was kind of
you win some, you lose some.
Basically.
Yeah, but like you gotta have a tragic character in it sometimes. Like it's
yeah,
okay.
but it literally became okay. Who's dying this season? Well, Sam died last season, so Dean's dying this season. Like that's literally what it was. Oh, and now Cass is in the mix.
You know what show did a great job of wrapping it up? Being Human, which Jimmy Olsen.
There we go.
Was the show. I highly recommend if it's still streaming somewhere, watch the US version of Being Human. It is phenomenal. It's 4 seasons.
4 seasons? I thought it was 3. Perfect. Awesome.
Nope, it's 4 seasons, and they just told a really good story, and it ends really, really nice. So,
which is surprising for a Sci-Fi Channel show, because they have a tendency of not ending things well.
Correct.
Like Warehouse 13, love that
Eureka.
series. Eureka, love that series. The last 2 seasons that felt like they were stretching to finish it.
Yeah,
and that kind of hurts.
Gotta make those advertising dollars.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else?
I think I through all my notes and all of the.
I have one last note. When the island raises up out of the water, the detail of all the dead marine life sitting on top of the island was pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't see all that.
Like, yeah, they're like fish and crabs and all that shit just like laying on top of it, dying or dead.
Oh shit! Should I count those as that's one attack, right?
It's all one kill, yeah.
Right.
Well, no, they're animals.
Yeah, so we still count animals.
I thought it had its own count.
No, I mixed it in with kill count.
Oh, it's getting very confusing now.
No, I mixed it in with kill count, but then like I'll say so we had 15, but we had one of those was a dead horse or something.
Oh, okay. Did you count that for?
Camel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you count that for Conan punching those camels?
No, because he didn't.
Also, do we have a real life kill count? Because Arnold literally did kill those camels when he punched them.
No.
Oh my god, that's gonna be a sad day when that man passes. Oh, he's giving me endless amount of content.
What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was pulling up stuff. So yeah, that's.
I mean, hell, you might as well give us the kill count, I guess.
Yeah, kill count. 7 if I count all of the fishes and crabs and stuff.
Now, see, that is a true hero. 7 kills. So, that's it.
Only 7.
One of them was so okay. So
the piano dude.
Yeah, which is from his son. The other one,
I counted that as hero kills, though.
So actually, you can count hero kills because when Superman was lifting up the island, that pillar crushed those three guys.
Oh, that's right.
So,
no, they're taking a nap. That's Batman.
No,
they're sleeping.
That's Batman. Yeah. So those three: the piano guy, the dog that ate the other dog, or got eaten by the other dog, and the old lady at the very beginning. So yeah.
Oh, I do have a question. So this came out after Batman Begins.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
And in this movie, they reference Gotham City.
They do.
Did you, when you had that happen, did you hope that there would eventually be a crossover with this universe?
So, I think I don't recall my intention, my thoughts back then. But part of me thinks it was one of two things. One, yes, that they were going to have this crossover and it was going to be great at some point in time. Or two, I read in The Wizard that Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight universe is its own separate thing. It's never going to be, you're never going to see another superhero in it.
That's a shame.
Yeah, so there's one
because
of the two.
If there was ever a crossover that I think weirdly would have worked for them to do Dark Knight Returns, it would have been Christopher Nolan and this Superman. I think kind of would have worked.
The two with Christian Bale Batman and Brandon Routh Superman, like those, I feel like those two would have been well enough to play against each other.
Yeah,
like the elements of both of those characters and what they represented
would have been interesting.
Would have been good to see together.
And it's a shame to think that we got what we did for that story, but we'll get there.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Returns, like specifically like that, like arguably the most infamous and most famous Batman story of all time, that also includes Superman, being Dark Knight Returns. Am I not remembering this correctly?
It's Dark Knight Rises. It's not Dark Knight Returns. Or are you thinking the animated thing?
No, I'm talking about the comic book.
Oh, the comic book. Wait,
yeah. What? Doesn't Superman show up at the end of the Dark Knight Returns, the comic book?
Comic book. He shows up during it, yeah.
Right. I'm saying if they were ever going to finally put that into like cinematic representation, Christopher Nolan's Batman and this Superman, I think actually could have done those two universes colliding to tell that story instead of the shit thing that we got. I think would have been okay.
Kind of fucking nerd watches Batman comics.
I actually like Christopher Nolan. I mean, like, I'm going to shit on it every hour, but that we record it. But I actually don't. I like it. I don't know.
You know what else you should shit on? Some of the
Patreon.com/professional casual. As little as $1. Head over there, support our. But actually, hit that 301 tier. If you could give us $3.01, and then in your like monthly thing message that you're allowed to send, talk about how you specifically took a bowel movement while thinking about the fact that Tim gets $3.01.
Yeah, we
don't. You can message. You get like a monthly questionnaire thing.
We don't get it. I mean, it'd be nice if we got it, but
right. But I'm saying at the 3, but we don't get it unless you specifically do that 301 tier. And what's a penny? You know what I mean? Take a shit on us. That's what I'm saying. Take a shit on us.
Specifically on Chuck. And he'll record it and put it on the Patreon.
I have done a lot more for a lot less. Okay.
Ron, what you got for a bingo?
Okay, so obviously we've got Comic Logic. An origin flashback, sort of. Because we get like the back to him being a kid thing and first like running and flying.
Yeah.
We have animal cruelty because Clark is an asshole and throws his dog's ball halfway across the fucking world when all the little pup wanted to do was fucking play.
Lucky you go there and not the other dog eating the one dog.
But that's dog on dog cruelty. I can't really say anything about that because I'm not a dog.
Okay.
What about all the dead marine life?
I was getting there too.
Okay.
We had a villain monologue like 7 different times because fucking Lex Luthor likes to hear himself talk.
So did Lex Luger.
That's why you get him so confused.
It's true.
Unexplainable science because everything. Product placement because like every fucking vehicle in it and like clothes, everything.
When Lois called the this is the one that I noticed, called the taxi, there was a Mountain Dew thing on top of the taxi.
Some sexual innuendo. Talking trope because the way that Superman like speaks still sounds like 1980s Superman or 70s.
I love when he opens up when he saves the plane and he walks in and he literally says the line that Christopher Reeve said to Lois after falling from the helicopter. Like I found that
it was great.
Fun.
Real quick, wanna know how I know this was made after 9/11? Because he says
because the Twin Towers weren't there.
Well, yes, but also because he says even though this plane crash has happened, it's still the safest way to fly. Like that felt so planted as like propaganda of like, hey, you should. It's still safe to fly. We promise.
Apparently, there was a scene that wasn't filmed but was in the original script. Bryan Singer saying he was going to have Superman fly to Ground Zero and just kind of stand there and kind of like contemplate, thinking, if I was here, I could have stopped this situation.
I'm glad they did.
They should have.
No, I'm kind of glad they didn't.
No, that for 2006 would have made me love Superman because he would have made him. It would have humanized him. The idea that he wasn't here for one of the biggest like tragedies of American history happening at his.
But it was only 5 years later. He would have been there.
No,
allegedly,
right? Good point. But just like the idea that like he would have to deal with that, like, oh, because like otherwise it's just like, oh, he lost Lois and some other kind of things didn't happen, but like also her article then wouldn't have like her Pulitzer article would have made a lot more sense of we don't need Superman because this horrible, awful tragedy happened and he wasn't here for us, so we can't rely on him. And let that be the story. Is that it's not that we don't need Superman, we just can't rely on Superman.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh man, someone get AI to write that. The Guilt of Superman. That's what we're gonna call it. Oh god, it's gonna be so good.
You go ahead and put that in the AI, and
I will.
We'll read
the script. Ron can play Superman. It'll be great.
Sweet. But then we also have misogyny, the hero kills, and cameos. So
we got 2 cameos.
At least 2, yeah.
Well, still waiting when we get 5. We fill up the board. We'll get there. All right, Chuck.
I actually didn't mind it. Space Spawn Cape Continuum. I also probably must have not been paying attention all that much because I didn't notice the really bad stuff.
It was usually only when they got closer to him when he was CGI'd, like when he was flying and stuff. And like there were a couple spots where he was flying and they really didn't need to use the CGI. Like they could have done practical effects for it. But
yeah, I felt like they were like Zack Snyder blurring it enough where like it just looked weird anyway, but I was kind of just used to it. So I don't know. I'm gonna say
that's
like
you didn't see the Bryan Singer cut.
That's true. I didn't. That's true. Where he actually saves 9/11 by throwing a dog. I'm gonna say 9 out of 14 Spawn Capes. It wasn't bad, and I felt like there was probably a decent amount of practical effects still ish or something, because I feel like, or at least there was a lot of practical staging, because I feel like if that was CG'd back then in 06, it would have looked terrible today. Like a lot of so I think it felt like a lot of their like their stage setups and stuff were actually like probably really set like real sets.
Yeah. Well, like I know apparently they filmed a lot of this in Australia and this wasn't CGI'd, but they actually planted a ton of like corn stalks for the scene in the very beginning when Martha is driving through the corn. So like that, I basically what I'm saying is I think they did as much practical as they could.
We should ask Quinn if corn is indigenous to Australia.
According to IMDb, it is not.
Interesting. So they
they
could have
just left
potentially like caused a catastrophic soil like problem.
100%.
I mean, it was fake corn.
Oh,
It wasn't like real.
Oh.
Like they didn't plant corn and wait for it to grow. Like it was all fake.
Wow, they could have actually helped a lot of people by producing corn.
Yeah,
but
why do that?
Fucking Hollywood.
All singer.
Anyway,
White man's Hollywood. So Chuck, what's your score out of 10? Where you get this?
All right, is this a Superman movie? Yeah, it's kind of boring. I didn't hate this movie. That doesn't mean it's not good or bad, but I did find myself kind of bored. I don't like characters that are God. Like it doesn't do anything for me. I know he's not realistically going to die because of all of his powers. I would have liked to have seen something that was like equal to him in power in this movie in one way, shape, or form. Because Lex isn't smart in this movie. Like he doesn't. His whole thing is like, oh, I've got brains over bronze, like Superman. You know that like compared to Superman. But then he never like actually exhibits that, and he just seems goofy and dumb, and I just don't care for it. But I would probably watch this again, and if I was like my nephew wanted to watch a Superman movie, I may put this on and actually enjoy it because there's some cool scenes. I'm gonna say 5.4. That seems high for me on a movie that I was bored in, but it wasn't the worst. And I thought the suit actually was pretty rad. Like
I was a little disappointed his cape didn't have the S on it though.
Yeah.
Since it was supposed to be the same suit that Superman had in
see, they say that, but there is a line that somebody says, I think Perry asked, why does he have a new suit? What's with the new suit? So like
it doesn't
right in the time of comic book movies have to have a new suit every single movie because but I appreciated that they kept the feel, like the original feel of like they didn't try to like they didn't X-Men this, right? Where they tried to give him just like something that doesn't even remotely look like the thing.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Yes. Actually what I would prefer is I thought it was right here, but it's not. The weird just a chest plate version of Superman. Would have yeah.
Yes, I know that
of
one.
course, talking about Superman War World Saga, where he is just juiced out of his mind.
Is that a BDSM Superman?
Yeah, it's a BDSM Superman.
Okay.
Basically, there was an issue, I think, of
that book is thick.
Superboy or Superman Son of Kal-El. With Jonathan Kent, and he happens upon that suit in Lois and Clark's bedroom, and Lois has to like hide it real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about reading that in probably a year by the time I actually get to it. But I have a lot of other books I'm trying to get through right now.
Same.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but it looks good. I've been told that if you want to care about Superman and the Superman story, that's the one to read.
I haven't read that. I've read I think like the 2 or 3 issue lead up into that story in particular.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot of issues.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
like 12, it's like 12 issues. I think
this is a thick boy. So
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. What did I say?
5.4.
5.4. Yeah.
Ron, what you got?
So they scored a lot of points by having the original title track to this for me, and the music throughout it, because that's like punch right in the nostalgia for me. The storyline wasn't terrible. There were a lot of plot holes and stuff, and like the overall arcing thing of having a land mass that like disrupts specifically the United States and no other area on the map. As far as water displacement goes,
it would have, but
what I'm saying is, though, like what he showed on his map wasn't even the high points of the United States that would have still been left. It was like it just sliced it off like pie, like it was gonna magically cover up spots that and then stop because it ran out of water or something.
Yeah. Not wrong.
But other than like stuff like that, it was decent. If somebody wanted to watch this, I would watch it again with them probably. I'd be on my phone most of the time, but like I'd still probably watch it with them. So I'm gonna give it a 6.2.
You would head pop at the parts you knew to have pop at that would look cool.
Yeah,
like the plane scene, and when he's like the Gatling gun and stuff.
When Lois gets cracked in the head with that door, like
that's like in Titanic. Like you only watch
Titanic. The propeller.
The dude bouncing off the propeller. It's the only part you watch, but it's like it's worth it. It's worth that entire movie.
Man, did you know they had to pay that stunt person double for breaking his back on that? No.
Probably. That'd be rad.
Joey, what did you give it?
So this is another one where I did enjoy it. It was longer than I remember. I had to I watched this in parts, which sucked. But the story itself, I agree, the story wasn't the best. But there was a lot of great scenes in this, a lot of things that I remembered, and not just because of the trailer, but just I remembered. Like I remember liking Brandon Routh, and again,
I think he did a good job. Yeah.
Kate Bosworth as Lois wasn't terrible.
I didn't really like her.
Was not great. Yeah, like she's a forgettable Lois, which is, I mean, it's not good. Like you should definitely be able to. Like I remember Terry Hatcher. I remember Margaret Kidder. I remember Amy Adams. Like those, I remember them. Erica
she
Durant,
was a woman in a 2006 movie.
Yeah. Yes. Basically. Yes.
And that's really hard when you know how like strong, independent woman Lois Lane is. So if you watched the Aid series, this was like a humongous slap in the face.
Well, yeah, because every time she gets into trouble, she has to be saved.
Yeah.
Now there was the part at the beginning which I thought was going to be like something else when she saves the lady that was doing the interview. Sure. Like after she's like, "Oh, you're just going to hear a faint sonic boom," and then the whole plane. Like that part, I was like, "Oh, we're going to get a Lois that actually like does things," and then afterwards she gets thrown around the plane like a rag doll. And
yeah, because again, this Lois Lane, she's an army brat. She's raised to be self-sufficient, and that's not the Lois we got in this movie, and not because she's a mother. Even on top of that, like she's still in the comics, she's a mother. She's still self-sufficient.
She's
a bad mom.
Yeah, she regularly was putting this child's life in danger.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that. Well, and especially when she goes to investigate the blackout thing.
Yeah, and why would you bring your kid to that?
For one,
especially when his dad has a fucking cush job doing nothing at a newspaper.
Yeah.
And like also when he is a pilot, he knows his abilities to fly that plane, and she's like, we have to go back, and he literally just said, he's like, I cannot turn this plane around. You're going to endanger not only yourself but me and our child if I turn this fucking plane on. And she's like, if we don't go back, he dies. Then let him fucking die. Like, what are you talking about? But that's the problem. He's a goddamn Cyclops, fucks up again, thinking with his dick, and turns that fucking thing around.
Again, I love James Marsden. I love him in Westworld. I love him in the Sonic movies. Love James Marsden.
But he still cucks Superman.
Yeah.
Which is a win for Marvel.
Also, yeah, but he's like a little bit of a simp. And there's like, he needs to stop. He needs to stop playing simp characters to women. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, I also gave this a 6.2. Like I said, I enjoyed it, but there's better ones out there like Superman and Superman 2 and the Donner Cut and Man of Steel when we get there. Like it's
oh my god.
Yep, I already said it. Yeah, so 6.2, which gives us a combined score of 5.93, which puts it at number 37 out of 94. So, top half.
That's not
Still,
terrible. Yeah.
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
It's right behind. Well, okay, so it's behind Batman Forever, which had a 6.03. It's behind The Incredible Hulk Returns, which had a 6. It's above Barbarella with a 5.88 and above Blade 2 with a 5.87.
Yeah, I would say I was equally bored with Blade 2 as I was this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I like Blade 2 too, but it is not the strongest of that trilogy.
Yeah.
But it's also not the weakest of that trilogy.
I had fun with 3 with Trinity.
3 was fun, but it didn't feel like it was the same.
It's definitely not the same universe, which is. I mean, we'll get there.
Do you ever feel like Del Toro was kind of like overrated? Like he had one good movie.
Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah, because he did the second one, didn't
amazing.
He did Blade
2. He did Blade 2, yeah.
I do like The Orphanage.
Who did it?
Del Toro.
Oh,
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, I can never say his first name, so I just call him Del Toro. Yeah, I feel like he's like known as this like amazing director, and like he makes amazing movies, and then like other than Pan's Labyrinth, and to a lesser extent, I really like The Orphanage.
Crimson Peak is amazing.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I've never seen that one.
That's good.
But I feel like then
what he does good is practical. Everything is practical.
Right.
That's what Del Toro does really well.
I am excited to get into Hellboy because like those practicals are really good.
But yes, 100%. We're a little ways off of there, but
yeah, I know.
I don't know. As the year progresses, I may be moving things around, so we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, Joey, where can they find you?
Places here, there, everywhere. But where can they find you?
You can find me on the interwebs on Instagram and TikTok, Kicked Out of the Hood, No Ian Kicked. You can find my hobby page. I'm currently trying to paint an entire army in a week for a game on Sunday. This will be my first game I've played in the year of 2024. And I'm trying to beat my record of 2 games last year. So I'm trying to fully paint an army. Which is possible. It is possible. If there's one thing I'm good at is speed painting armies. So
you're doing Shatterpoint, right?
Yeah. Playing Shatterpoint.
I saw the Clone Trooper. I'm like, oh, interesting. Love it.
Yeah, Shatterpoint's a very interesting game. But you can see some stuff up on Kicked Out of the Hobby, No Ian Kicked, and my kitchen channel is going to take off any day now. Kicked Out of the Kitchen, No Ian Kicked. I have so many videos that I want to like duet, but then like when I go to do it, I don't have my fucking headphones, and you can't duet without headphones. So it's like a thing. Anyway, Ron, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Good at This Game. You can also find my art page on Instagram at Good Art This Game, and obviously here on this podcast and where all these podcasts are sold. Mm-hmm. Joey?
You can find me on Instagram and Threads at Comic Book Rundown. You can find, you can email the show, comicbookrundown@gmail.com. Rate and review us on your podcasting app of choice. If you do, we'll read it on upcoming episode. We've got merch over on Redbubble and TeePublic, and our song was done by Cam. Our next movie, Almost Doctor. Oh, and by the way, I was mistaken about the baby. He's not dad yet. He is going to be a dad, but he's not dad yet.
No.
The picture,
so much anticipation of waiting for titles. Jeez, come on, Cam, get your shit together. Get that baby out.
Definitely a college.
You're a doctor.
Maybe he can deliver it and become Dr. Daddy Cam.
Ooh,
there you go. You know, if he actually listened to the show, maybe.
Nobody, Joey, nobody listens to the show.
No, Jordan listens.
Hey, Chuck listens to this show.
Yeah,
that's true. I do listen because.
Oh, by the way,
fuck you two on History of Violence. By the way, fucking assholes.
What? Why? What did we say? What did we do?
I believe you said I had vagina syndrome.
Something like that.
I was dying. I had neurovirus, I believe. All right, so I'm more and more being told that I probably didn't have food poisoning and that I actually had norovirus for 3 days. But whatever. Anyway,
we did get a comment on that YouTube video, and the guy said like, no disrespect or anything, but that movie sucked. And I'm like, hey man, like I guarantee we probably did rate it a little higher than it should have been. But I'm gonna blame Chuck for not being on the episode to bring the score down.
That's true.
So,
yeah, I hate Viggo Mortensen if he's not Aragorn. So.
I mean, that's fair, actually.
Yeah,
he does a good job acting, but every time I see him, I just want him to be Aragorn. So
yeah, no,
yeah,
fair.
I don't like his face when it's not Aragorn. I don't know why. Anyway,
because he has to have the hair, or it just doesn't sit well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So our next movie. Did I say our next movie is?
No, you're getting ready to, and then you interrupted yourself.
Yep.
Did I? Oh, okay. I do that a lot.
I mean, maybe one of us interrupted you, but whatever.
Probably.
No, it's all his fault.
That totally tracks. Our next movie is going to be Dick Tracy from 1990.
Oh man,
God. Okay.
Actually, let's see if it's streaming somewhere because I don't know if we have.
We probably have to pay for it now.
Yeah. I think it may be on HBO. I know that it has popped up on some streaming service. Because
we gotta pay for it.
How much is it? Is it a rental?
$4. Yeah.
Okay,
rental.
as long as it's a rental, that's all I care about.
Is it on Prime?
Probably, but Google showing YouTube, Google Play, and Fandango at home. So maybe YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll
see.
The very questionable adults I used to hang out with, this like one of their favorite movies of all time. He was a huge Dick Tracy fan, and loved
the adult you hung out with loved Dick.
Yeah. Do you guys know the history? We'll talk about it on the actual show, but the history of the action figure with this?
No.
Oh, we'll save it for next episode.
Next episode. Yeah. Yep. I've got a little history of Dick Tracy myself, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, you got history with Dick. I've heard that.
I do have history.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right.
Thank you all for listening.
Bye.